What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're talking about Copland, written and directed by James Mangold. Copland tells the story of a sheriff, played by Sylvester Stallone, that unravels a conspiracy led by the inhabitants of his small town. Now, the inhabitants of his small town in New Jersey are actually corrupted New York City police officers who have pretty much used the town of Garrison, New Jersey, as their own little safe haven. Thus, that's why this movie is known as Copland, because the town that is being inhabited has been nicknamed Copland by the local residents. Okay, so that's the story. Let's just talk about it for a little bit. I thought Copland was actually a really good movie. I enjoyed this movie a lot. This is not the best, police conspiracy movie, nor is it one of the best cop movies ever made. But I think it's actually a grossly underrated movie, and it's backed by really, really good, strong performances. Right off the bat, the cast in this movie is outstanding. You have Sylvester Stallone, Harvey Keitel, Ray Liotta, and Bill Murray, and Robert De Niro. Bill Murray. And I think all four of these men did absolutely great job at pretty much giving this movie a lot of emotional weight. I think Sylvester Stallone as the lead character of Freddy gives a very understated, earnest, and underappreciated performance. This is not a typical Sylvester Stallone performance. He's giving a very earnest attempt, and he's pretty much playing like this local cop, this local town sheriff who idolizes the NYPD. By the same time, he is pretty much intimidated by the ones that have infiltrated his town. He kind of turns a blind eye to their shady actions. And all around, I think Sylvester Stallone, like I said, gives a very understated and underrated performance. He's pretty much playing an everyman type of character. He ain't playing this larger than life superhero character. He's playing a grounded character. And I thought he fit the role really, really well. Uh, Harvey Keitel plays the character of Ray, who is pretty much the leader of the band of corrupted officials, and the whole story gets turned into motion when Ray's nephew, nicknamed Superboy, played by Michael Rappaport, accidentally kills two black kids on the Washington Bridge, and as a result, they cover it up by faking Superboy's death as an apparent suicide. And this is what kickstarts the movie in motion, because now there's an investigation into the suicide because a body can't be reproduced, and this is what sets off the chain of events. And I think Harvey Keitel as the character of Ray, I thought he was really, really good. I liked Keitel as an actor, and I liked his performance in this movie as well. I thought he was great as the leader of this band of corrupted officials who was always in control of everything. Um, Robert De Niro plays an internal affairs investigator who's on to the case and knows something's going on, and he's on a mission to prove it. If I have one criticism to this movie is that I would have liked to have seen more of the investigation side on De Niro's part. It kind of feels like I feel like De Niro doesn't really get a whole lot of screen time in this movie, and when he does, we don't really see him doing any investigating. I would have liked to have seen more of an investigation on De Niro's character's end, who plays a character called Mo. I think that would have been also very interesting to kind of coincide with Sylvester Stallone's character, who goes on his own investigation as well. As Stallone even unravels the conspiracy at the same time that the character of Mo is building up his case about Superboy and what happened, and together and they kind of meet halfway. I mean, there is a scene that they do share where Mo tries to convince Freddy to join him, but Freddy, because he's so intimidated by the NYPD, chooses not to. And that's where I think De Niro's character kind of falls off, and then he comes back again near the end just to yell at Freddy for not joining him in the first place. I think De Niro, to me, he's a kind of a little bit wasted in this movie. Uh, that's just my thoughts on that. But the supporting cast in this movie is really strong. Michael Rappaport as Superboy, I thought he played the role really, really well. No, there are some scenes where Michael Rappaport has a little bit of humor to him, and then there are scenes that are just nail biting, and you think, oh no, they're gonna get him. Uh, and you have Peter Berg, who plays another cop too. And Peter Berg has his own subplot where he's having an affair with Ray's wife, played by Kathy Moriarty. Tell you the truth, I don't think this subplot was all that necessary. I would have taken it out of the movie. Didn't really add much. If anything, it just adds to Ray uh, putting the Peter Berg character on his resume of people he's going to let die, because after Ray finds out about the affair, he pretty much lets the character of Joey fall to his doom. So that's that. That subplot I could have done without it. What I did like though is the Ray Liotta character of Figs, who is part of Ray's unit, but at the same time he's also trying to get out of it. And Ray Liotta is also really really close friends with the Freddy character, and I think Stallone and Liotta share a lot of good scenes together, and they have decent on-screen chemistry to themselves as well, because they do come across as friends. But Ray Liotta's whole thing is that he wants to get out of Garrison, New Jersey. He wants to get out of He wants to get out of Ray's unit. So in so doing, so he kind of fakes a fire at his house, but he inadvertently kills his girlfriend in the process, who was in the house as it burned down, just so he can collect the insurance money. Now, and what I do like about the character of Figs is that he does collect the money, but he also has a change of heart, and he ends up coming back to help, Freddy take down Ray and his remaining men, which also includes Robert Patrick as his character called Rucker. And I enjoyed Robert Patrick in this movie. Actually, he kind of plays like the right hand man of Ray, and Robert Patrick is a dead ringer for that cop who was investigating O.J. Simpson. I can't remember what his name was. The racist white cop that investigated O.J. Simpson's in real life. I can't remember what his name is, but you'll know who I'm talking about. To me, he looks like a dead ringer. I think this movie was like homaging that in a lot of ways. I mean, in a lot of ways, this movie, the whole impetus of this movie was that these cops killed these two black youths, and because the cop thought that they were shooting at him. This is actually a very relevant story because you can apply it to today's world and what's been going on, and you can apply it to what was happening 20 years ago with the Rodney King stuff and all that and everything like that. So I think from a story perspective, Copland has a very socially relevant has a very socially relevant message that you can still apply to today's world, because you constantly hear stories about how cops are using excessive force and mistaking weapons that are not really there, and then they're doing falsified evidence in order to clear their own names. And Copland pretty much covers all of that. And what I do respect about James Mangold is that he doesn't do an indictment of the police. He looks at it from a very neutral stance, and he's not saying that all police do this. He's just focusing on this small group of corrupted police officials that do this because they're pretty much in bed with the mob, and that's what was able and because Ray's group of police officials are in bed with the mob, that's how they were able to infiltrate the town of Garrison, New Jersey, and pretty much make it their own safe haven as a way to protect themselves and raise their families. And of course, once the character of Freddy unravels all of the story, he can no longer let these people in his town, and he fights back. And it leads to a very suspenseful, intense, and nail-biting shootout in which Ray, who becomes deaf in one ear. Now, the reason why Ray is deaf in one ear is because when he was a kid, he saved a woman from drowning, and it caused him to go deaf. This woman was called Liz. It's actually revealed that the woman Liz is actually the wife of the Joey character, and Liz and Freddy have a little bit of a romantic relationship with one another. The movie Bill teases at it, but it doesn't really go for a fully formed relationship between the two. I think that's okay, to be honest with you. I didn't really mind that they didn't really build a romantic interest between those two, because I was more interested in the investigation than I am about the relationship stuff that this movie had to offer. But yeah, you get to the final shootout, and this is where the Ray Liotta character has his change of heart and helps Freddy kill Ray and his men. And then, they take the Superboy character to be indicted in New York, and the movie just really ends. So yeah, that's pretty much Copland. It's an overall solid movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I think this is one of James Mangold's earliest movies, and this is where he shows what he can do as a talent. I'm a James Mangold fan, and this movie, and as a first outing, you really get to see his skills as a writer and as a filmmaker. This movie has a great look to it. It has a very realistic, grounded, just small town look to it. The town of Garrison, New Jersey feels like any other small town that you can be inhabited by, where everyone knows everyone, but there's something sinister afoot happening, and I think James Mangold captured that very, very perfectly. So I can't applaud him enough. And he was able to handle a cast of heavy hitters with just ease. Everyone gives an excellent performance. There's not one bad apple in this entire cast. Everyone does a good job. So yeah, with all that being said, I'm gonna give Copland a solid 8 out of 10. I highly recommend this movie if you have not seen it, and give it a watch because I think it's actually kind of underrated and it is really really good, especially if you like mystery type of movies. This is a good one. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Copland. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.